It's time for love. It's time for your love coach. Let's find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach, Nikki Lee. For quite a while, I've been wanting to talk about Narcissist on the show. And I happened to find, actually, she found me. I had an expert about Narcissist find me and approach me about being on the show, and she's with me today. So today we're going to talk about Narcissist, and we're going to talk about what they are, how they impact us, how growing up around a narcissist will impact us, and about dating, signs to look for, and all kinds of interesting information. So, Lynn, it's great to have you with me today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nikki. I appreciate it.
All right. Like I said, I've wanted to talk about this for quite a while, but I wanted to find somebody that knew what they were talking about. So I'm picky who I have on my show because I want to make sure we give them the right information. So let me see. Now, Lynn helps people to regain their confidence and thrive after leaving a toxic relationship. And I'm all for getting people out of toxic relationships and moving on and improving the quality of their lives. So she's a certified coach and hypnotist with several years of experience dealing personally with narcissistic personalities. She's also a co-author of 2 books on empowering women to succeed. Through personal coaching programs, her clients release negative emotions, anger, sadness, and frustration, loneliness, and learn how to regain their confidence and sense of self-worth so they can move forward into living a joyful life. She lives in Ontario. She loves to speak and is available to do interviews on subjects such as overcoming toxic relationships, dealing with narcissistic personalities, and increasing personal confidence. Now, like I said, I am really looking forward to talking about this because I think people get into toxic relationships. It kind of if it's toxic from the start, that's one thing, but they can become toxic slowly, and you just kind of get into it, and you don't really, it just kind of becomes your norm. Or if you grow up in a toxic situation, it's your normal, and it's just this is how things are supposed to be, and you just accept it. And sometimes you don't realize it should be better than that, and so you just accept it. What do you think?
Yeah, it depends on, you meet someone, and like if there's a big attraction to the person, regardless of really knowing them well yet, that could push wanting the relationship. So sometimes you meet someone, there's some kind of a great attraction there, and a lot of times if we get to know the person day after day, some of these toxic signs that we might see or we might read something, our gut is telling us something is a little off, or like, why did they say that, or why are they doing that? But because we have some kind of attraction, we tend to push it to the side and say, I'm going to ignore that. I like this person for whatever reason. I'm just going to ignore it. It's going to be okay. We'll
Right.
work on it. It's going to go away, whatever, because they want that relationship. So they push it to the side and they keep trucking along. And, and usually what will happen as time goes on, it just gets worse. Right. So before they know it, they're in this toxic relationship with this person. They've gotten themselves into this mess. And, versus trying to get out earlier. So as we all know, the further you're into a relationship, the harder it is to leave or to make changes. So that's what happens. Another thing that happens too is narcissists can love bomb you. So in the beginning, when you meet them, they make you feel like you're the greatest thing that ever that ever existed in their life. You know, you're this, you're that, you're number one. I've never met anyone like you. Like, you're so special, and they love bomb you. So then you're brainwashed and manipulated into thinking that you're the greatest thing, and so that's sort of like you feel good about yourself. So that keeps you in the relationship too. But what narcissists do is they'll love bomb you, and then after a while you'll start to feel the mask starts to fall off, and you start to see the real person. So the odd put down, or the odd it's not good enough, or not texting or calling you right back, you start to see signs that they're not into you as much as they said they were. So there's a lot of things that can happen as the relationship progresses, but you just your gut starts to tell you something's off. Like, something's not quite right. Either what they're saying or what they're doing, or it's just not. Something's off. But a lot of times we ignore it.
Right. So for people, because narcissist is a term that we hear. You hear it quite a bit in the media and in TV shows. You hear it quite a bit. So for people that may not exactly understand or may have kind of misconceptions, how would you describe a narcissist?
Okay, a narcissist is someone who has low empathy. So, if you say to them, I remember last week when you said that to me and it hurt my feelings, they don't really register, that you're hurt. It's like, I did? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you very rarely get an apology. It's like they're not acknowledging your feelings of being hurt or being, having insulted or something. They don't do that. Like, they'll invalidate you. They don't acknowledge you. A lot of times you're talking to them, but they're not really. You look at them and they're not really listening to you. They're just sort of looking at you, but you can tell the information isn't going in. So
right.
They invalidate you. They have low empathy. They can be very controlling. So my way or the highway. So everything has to be their way, or most things have to be their way. It's their way's the best. Your way's not so good. Controlling, manipulative. They manipulate to get what they want. And some of them can be very sneaky about it, and you don't realize that you're being manipulated. They gaslight, which is denying your reality. So you say, remember last week when you said that to me, and they said it. They'll go, I don't know what you're talking about. I never said that to you. So they deny your reality, and you start as they keep doing that, you start to think, gee, maybe I am going crazy. Maybe I didn't say that. They didn't say that. So you start questioning yourself and self-doubting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, controlling, manipulative, gaslighting, invalidating, put downs. Nothing's ever good enough. Sometimes with a narcissist, it's everything you do, it's never good enough. You do your best and it's still not good enough. So this feeling of you don't feel like a whole person sometimes. You don't feel like loved,
Well, and like you said too, the love bombing, they start with that to pull you in, and then because who doesn't want to hear how wonderful they are,
Mm-hmm.
But so you start with all that, and then it shifts, and then you really so you get this oh, I'm wonderful, and they think I'm fantastic, and blah blah blah, and then nothing's good enough. So so your emotions are going drastically from one extreme to the other, which is, so it's an incredibly unhealthy situation for you.
Yeah, your emotions are up and down, and you're up and down constantly, and sometimes they're not available when you want them to be. So you're constantly living on edge, you're constantly living in this sort of nervous, up and down, and you're not sure what's going to happen next, and you don't feel secure, like a normal healthy relationship. You know where you stand, you feel loved, you feel acknowledged, a normal healthy relationship. But with a narcissist, you don't feel that. You feel you're only there when they need you, or, it's like it's a conditional relationship,
Well, and everything is for their convenience, not yours, ever,
It's all about them. Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
it's like a one-sided relationship. Like with my ex, I may as well, like I talking to a brick wall, I would have got more emotion, like it's like a one-sided relationship, and the one side is theirs, of course,
Okay, now a humorous, if there's ever a humorous example of a narcissist, would be Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we were sort of conditioned to see a humorous side of narcissism with the 12 years that Big Bang Theory was on with Sheldon. But I mean, he was very much, it was all about him, anything he needed, everything he wanted. I mean, even right down to where he sat his butt was all about him, and no matter what anybody else needed, it just didn't matter,
Yeah.
But like I said, he's a fictional character that just about everybody watched at some point. And I mean, his attitude was the reason I hated that show in the very beginning. And then the show kind of grew on me after I watched it a couple more times.
I know,
but
it grows on you. Yeah.
Initially, I could not stand that show because of his character, But, I mean, I've even heard him described as the most lovable narcissist you're ever going to see. And it's like, but you still just want to smack the daylights out of him sometimes,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, that's an example of one that I think pretty much anybody listening has seen The Big Bang Theory at least once, I don't want to put a humorous face on narcissism, but I just think people can at least relate to some of the characteristics we're talking about through that character. So,
yeah.
Now, what I think a lot of people too, as we're talking about these characteristics, may remember some of these through other people that they maybe grew up around. And I was talking to my boyfriend last night, because I usually talk about whatever I'm going to interview somebody about for the show, and he was mentioning that this is something that he's noticed comes up in support groups for ADHD. That a lot of people mention that they have dated or are dating people that are narcissistic. And we were kind of just doing some stuff and looking through comments and that kind of thing. And something that I kind of wanted to just kind of ask you and delve into a little bit is about people growing up in households, because we know as coaches that what we grew up around has a big influence on what we do in our lives as we become adults. And especially in our dating lives and relationships and that kind of thing, we kind of mirror what we grew up around sometimes. Other times it's a warning to us, and we don't do that because we don't want to see that and we don't want to mirror that. But other times it does impact us. So if we grew up in a household with, say, parents that had narcissistic traits or were narcissists, what kind of an influence does that have on us?
Well, so you say your mother was a narcissist. So at a young age, you learn either that, what you do isn't good enough, or, you get controlled. I don't do this. I don't want you doing this, or I don't want you doing that, or controlling, or not good enough, or comparing the siblings. If you have a sibling, one ends up to be the golden child, and one ends up to be the scapegoat. So there's all these things in a narcissistic family dynamic that can come up when you grow up in that kind of a situation, and so you grow up with this, and you become conditioned that this is the way. This is love. This is the way it goes, because that's all you know. So you grow up, and probably 100% of people that grow up in these with a parent, one or two that are narcissists, end up attracting a partner because it's the familiar, right? It's what we know.
Exactly.
So when someone, doesn't treat us like we should be treated, we accept it because it's what we're used to. We think that's the norm. When it's not healthy. But because we're so used to that, that's what we know. And how many people it ends up, what, my parent was a narcissist, and guess what, I married a narcissist.
Right.
You marry the same. So it's because we're used to it, right? We're used to being controlled, or we're used to being manipulated, or we're used to being, put down and, gee, you look like you've gained a few pounds. Like, Lynn, is something going on? Like you look a little heavier today. Like you get used to these sort of demeaning comments. So then, you grow up and you attract the same. And you wonder why you're unhappy.
I was working with a couple, and the husband looked at his wife and he says, "Well, you're not allowed to go out after dark." And she's, "Well, yeah, I know." And I said, "Excuse me, what did you just say?"
Yeah.
and I mean, she didn't even bat an eye.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's because you're submissive to it, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, you just told your wife she's not allowed to go out after dark?
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, she's not.
Yeah. How old is she?
Exactly. Yeah. And I looked at her and I said, and you said, yeah, I know. Seriously? Wow. But wow.
And I coach people. I coach people that, like, I coached a girl about a month ago, and she was with a narcissist, and she knew he was a narcissist, and she said, he puts me down, but I go back to him. We break up, and I know he's a narcissist, but I go back to him. Yeah. I said, well, that's trauma bonding. You're not strong in yourself. You have to build out yourself up more. You're codependent. You're going back to someone that you're, that's hurting you, and you break up, you go back. You break up, you go back. So you've obviously got a weak sense of self. You have to build yourself up more. You have to go inside and find out, what is, we'll call her name Sue. Like, what is Sue all about? What makes Sue tick? What makes Sue happy? What makes Sue, motivated? You don't know yourself well. You're too dependent on someone else, and someone else that's hurting you. So that's a really red flag, right? Yeah. But a lot of these women, that's the pattern. They go back, to these men that are that are emotionally, some physically, but we're just talking emotionally here, emotionally abusing them, and they go back. And like, when you really think about it, that's sort of sick,
Yeah.
To go back to someone that's emotionally abusing you. But it's the trauma bond, and they think I guess with time they think this is what I deserve. This is all I deserve, because the narcissist puts us down, like hits us down, knock by knock by knock by knock. We go down, down, down. So, like, after time, we're thinking, well, this is maybe all I deserve, because this is maybe all I am. And then they believe that, their self-worth is low, their self-esteem and self-confidence is low, and they're confused because they're gaslighted. So it's very, very deep, this narcissism thing. It goes very, very deep, and I heal women, and you have to want to be healed. You have to want the change, and it's work. But if you don't want to do the work, and you don't want the change, then it's not really going to happen. You have to want it.
Well, and I see people that they'll complain about a situation, but that's not enough.
No.
Complaining about it's one thing, but you've got to get to the point where you, like you said, like you want to change it, and you're willing to do the work to change it. And
you don't want it bad enough if you're just complaining all the time, and you don't
exactly.
You don't want it bad enough. Yeah.
Complaining is one thing, but willing to do the work. And I mean, and I talk about it on here all the time. It's like, okay, there is a better option, but you can't just flip a switch. It's not that simple. And I mean, at least 95% of the coaches that I have on here as guests, and I do that on purpose, have done the work. That's why we're coaches. We did the work. We've seen the difference in our own personal lives, and we want to help other people do it. And it's like I've been on both sides. I've done the work. I know this. I can tell you because I've done it. I've been where you are. I've done the work. I've gone through the work, and I've come out on the other side. And I know what a difference it is, and I want to help you do it, but I can't do it for you. I can help you. I can give you the tools. I can show you the how to do the journey, but you've got to be the one to do it. And the thing is, I wouldn't have wanted somebody else to do it for me, even if they could, which they can't. But the feeling of empowerment by knowing I did it, I wouldn't have given that to somebody else, because how do I say this? I'm damn proud of myself,
Exactly.
for overcoming all of that crap.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
For knowing.
You're proud of what you've accomplished and how far you've come, and
Exactly. That is so empowering to know what all those problems, and knowing I got rid of them.
Yep.
And seeing other people that are trying to do that or not willing to put the work into it, and saying, you know what, I know what I had to deal with, and I did it, and it was hard, but I came out the other side, and I wouldn't go back for anything. I wouldn't go back for millions. I wouldn't do it. And that's why I've got the show. That's why I do this every week. And that's why it's on my About page. I explain very clearly why I have this show. And it's a labor of love, I've been doing this for 7 years. For sure. For a reason, I don't get paid to do this. I do this because I want to help people, And that's why I'm picky who my guests are. I want to make sure that they're people that have gone through this too, and can say, look, I want to help you. I want to help you to make your life better. So. And I found in my healing, it wasn't just working on myself. It was also learning what makes a narcissist tick, because education is power, right? So the more you know about something, it gives you more control and power. Like, it just gives you more support. So, I educated myself on a narcissist. Why the way they, like, their history, what made them, why are they a narcissist? The things that they do. Understanding the enemy makes a big difference.
So it's not just building working on yourself, but it is also educating yourself on narcissism and why the way they are, and the reasons. And every narcissist is different in some of the things they do. But when you really look at the whole over big picture, a lot of the things that they do are similar. Their projection, like when they project their pain onto you. Like they can't handle, they don't go inside. They don't, you'll never hear a narcissist say to you, gee, for the last few years I know I've been hurting you, and I'm really sorry about that, and I want to apologize, and I'm going to fix it, and I really, really want to make this better. You're never going to hear a narcissist say that, right? Because they don't do that. They don't go inside. They don't look at themselves and try to fix something. They think what this is the way, what you see is what you get, and they're not going to. Narcissists aren't going to change.
Well, they wouldn't understand what that means anyway.
Yeah, so it's you that has to change, and some people, that's a big pill to swallow, but you have to do the changing, because they won't do the work. You'll never ask. They won't. It'll never happen. So.
Well, they're not doing anything wrong. So what's to change?
Yeah, exactly. Either they, they have like a shell. It's like a mask. They wear this mask. It's like a false self. They're portraying, right? It's a false persona. But that's how they survive. That's how they live, and that's what makes them tick. That makes them get through the day, is this false persona, this grandiosity, or I know it all, or that's how they get by. Yeah. That's what makes them, and it's like, it's crazy because I'm an empath. Like, I don't see it that way, life that way, but that's how they see it, right? So, they live by like a false self.
Yeah, when a narcissist tells me they think they're an empath, it's just like, holy no, you just know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always that's such a fascinating moment. It's just like, yeah, no. So what does it mean when a narcissist says "I love you"? Because we know what it doesn't mean, but what does it mean?
It means I love you for what you give me, I love you for your narcissistic supply that you give me.
Ooh, I like that. That's
interesting. Like I've looked at this comment a lot through researching it, but yeah, it's they love you. Yes, they love you for what you're giving them. You're giving them strokes, you're giving them attention, you're giving them your time, you're giving them your life, however long you've been in the relationship. Of course they love you because you're making them happy. It's you're their supply. You're their food. They feed off you.
I love that you refuel my narcissism. I like that.
What's that?
So I love that you refuel my narcissism.
Exactly.
Interesting. Huh. Okay, so what are 5 reasons why some people still love a narcissist? Because it seems like it'd be like, get away from me. But some people don't do that.
Why they stay with a narcissist? Lack of self-worth and lack of self-confidence. Maybe they feel I can't get any better, or they feel they don't want to be lonely. They'd rather stay with this. So trauma bonding, is very common. They're bonded. They've been bonded with this person. So why women put up with this abuse? They go back. It's the trauma bond. It's like a glue. They can't get away from it. They can't. They just seem they can't get away. So they go back.
Kind of like the mouse on the like little glue pad kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would seem to me, and I may be off base with this, but it would seem to me that narcissists target certain sorts of people. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yeah, they target people who they can sense right away. Well, they'll get their supply. People that are loving, that are kind, that are empathetic, that are caring, because they know they're going to get their supply. This person is giving people that are take people for what they go in with good intentions, not naive, but just sort of like going in with an open heart. They love that, right? Because they know they can just get right in there. So someone that's not got their guard up, someone that's open to a relationship and open to love, that's what they want. So then they can get right in there, right, and start working it,
Right.
Yeah. So if they sense that, that you have your guard up, or you're sort of onto them, I don't think it's going to happen, because they know it's not going to work. They have to be able to get you to be their supply. So people that are soft-hearted and kind and loving and, go in with that sort of like open-minded positivity,
right,
in a relationship, which is the way I am. And I've got hooked by narcissists. Well, not a lot. I've dated some, like, years ago, some really nice men, but my ex was, and I attract them, and a lot of women do. A lot of women attract them because that's what they're looking for, right? Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. It's a really crazy system.
It is. So why doesn't the narcissist love you?
Some say narcissists can't love. I think they can love in their own way, but in the way they know what love is.
Right.
But when it comes to really loving someone, like a full loving them for their flaws and loving them for everything that they are, no, because narcissists want what they want, and your flaws are going to be pointed out. Your flaws are going to, it's like a sort of a conditional thing. They don't love unconditionally. They love through conditions and through control, and it's just, and I know the difference between a man that has loved me for just being me and loving me, not loving him through me. I know the difference, and then I know the narcissist love, and it's a completely different love. Right. The man that loved me for me was just very kind and giving, and we were equals. We were best friends. We were lovers. I could share anything with him. I didn't feel like I shouldn't say that, or I better not. And I could be myself. He accepted me for who I was. He didn't care about the flaws. We worked it out. But with the narcissist, your flaws are pointed out. Your flaws are not good. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. You start to feel you have to be a certain person to keep this relationship to work. You have to sort of be this false person to make it work. Like it was so different, the dynamic, when I was in the two different relationships.
Right.
You can't be yourself.
There was somebody that was a friend of mine, and always said, love you, love you, love you, all this kind of stuff. And somebody asked me one time if I thought they really did, and I said, and I actually, without even thinking about it, said, as much as I think they're capable of loving anyone, I think so. So that was without even thinking about as far as being a narcissist, which I really think he is. That was my description. I said, as much as I think he's capable of loving any sort of a person, I think so, yes. So, yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Because some people, I think, just cannot love or care for another person. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, I've researched this, too. A lot of it goes back to their wounds, the narcissist wounds. A lot of times, narcissists were raised by narcissists, so it's like a generational, it goes down the line, right?
Right.
They were wounded. They weren't good enough. Johnny, when he was 5, brought home an A on his report card and said, "Look, Mom, I got an A." And Johnny's mom goes, "A? Where's the A plus?" I don't know. So then he gets that instilled in his brain. Uh-oh, not good enough. Got to keep going. Got to keep working. Not good enough. And a lot of times narcissists have been raised. Well, they have been raised by narcissists, and they grow up and they don't. The thing is, they don't fix these wounds. They don't. Nothing's fixed. So they grow up with these wounds inside, and that's why they're hurt.
Right.
People hurt people. They're hurt, so they go out and they project their pain onto you because they don't want to carry the pain inside. So everything's your fault, or everything, you're not good enough. Like they project it, they take it, and they throw it onto you because they don't want to carry that pain anymore. So then you're left feeling, you've got your own pain, and then you've got their pain. So no wonder we get depressed, because it's too much to carry. Mm-hmm. You're carrying around someone else's pain that isn't even your pain. So
yeah, it's like I don't need yours too. How can a person avoid dating a narcissist? Like to avoid problems in unhealthy relationships when possible.
Well, I guess I would just think, just look for any red flags that you see, and it's hard because we're all human. We want relationships, but you have to sort of be tough sometimes and look for red flags. Like if you not look for them, but you don't look for them when you go in, and if you see it or you think you see a red flag or you see something that's a little off, trust your gut and think about it, and really work on that inside, because don't ignore it, don't brush it off, because a lot of times our gut is right, and we end up regretting it. We end up regretting it later on. I know I have. Like, oh, I should have just done, I should have just gone with what I thought, but I didn't. So trust your gut, and if you start getting in the relationship and he's trying to, like I met someone the other day. You could tell he was just wanting to control it right away. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Are you this? Like, and then starting to judge me. And I thought, I've done the work, so I knew right away, red flag,
Right.
red lights flashing. Like, this guy's got narcissistic. I don't know him well, but he's got narcissistic traits, and I know this right away. And if they start talking a lot about themselves, and you start talking about yourself, and they sort of, oh yeah, and then they take it back to themselves. It's all about me. But they can be tricky. You can be tricked. They can start love bombing you, and the love bombing thing, and then that's how we get tricked. But if as far as the other side of it, yeah, I'm looking for like control or judging you. They start, everything's like he said to me, he goes, gee, we're on a video call. You seem really serious. And I said, oh, and I thought, gee, this is weird. And he said, you seem serious. I said, well, I actually was just with a client, and we were discussing something, so I guess I've transferred. And I just sort of said it like laid back. And he goes, oh, really? He goes, you just seem serious. I thought, see, he's judging me. Like, this is not, it's like, it just doesn't give you a good feeling, when they start judging and everything's a big deal and all this and that. If they're not available, like, I'll give you a call, tomorrow night, or I'll text you or something, and they don't. And then, you text them, and, oh, so, I thought we were supposed to get together and have and then, he waits another day, and then, oh, sorry, I've just been really busy. So you get these, like, he's not available type of things. And you have to be tough with that too, because I've done it. He's did it, and I would just sort of brush it off. Oh, I thought you were going to call me, but no problem. And no, you have to say, like you said you were going to call me. Like, I don't like this. Like, you have to be upfront about it, right? Yeah.
What about if the person wants you all to themselves?
Yeah, that's a big red flag.
That can be so flattering. They want you all to themselves.
Yeah. In the beginning, it can be great, right? Because you feel special. You feel acknowledged. Right. You feel special. But as time goes on, I know what always seems to happen is then I don't want you to go see that person, or I want you to go out with your friends again. No. Why don't you stay home with me, It starts out great because it makes you feel special, but as time goes on, it's control, right?
Right.
And it's their insecurity, Like, right. if you feel good about yourself and you have trust, you don't care if you don't care, but you don't mind if your partner goes out with friends on the evening. The healthy relationship, but a narcissist is they're insecure, right? And they want you all to themselves. So because they have low self-esteem. A narcissist portrays they don't. They portray they're this perfect, great person, but they have very low self-esteem. So they want you all to themselves, right? And how long can that go on?
Exactly. Well, so many people are like, oh, but it's so flattering. They want me all to themselves. Like, no. No, big red flag there, folks. Yeah. So what about a narcissist and infidelity? Theirs or yours?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's everyone is different when it comes to that. Some have our, we go further than others, but usually, they get bored with you. That the reason why they are unfaithful, they get bored, or they want more excitement. They want more supply. So they go out and they're unfaithful, and they get their supply. They get what they want, and they, as I said earlier, no empathy. So they're not thinking, oh gee, I hurt her. I shouldn't have done this. Or it's not about you. It's about them, right?
True.
And so they just do it. And, of course, how many times have women been left with the broken heart, and he went and was unfaithful, and, now I'm left alone. I'm hurt. I don't feel, I feel I'm comparing myself to the other woman. What did I have? What I don't have that she has. And this is how they make you feel more insecure and more unloved. It's just another job that they do, right? To make you feel unlovable, And I know the few women do go back. Like, it ends up, say they break up with that person and they do go back. It happens rarely, though, but they do go back with the narcissist. There's some of those dysfunctional relationships where they do go back, but a lot of times, like with anyone, once trust is gone and they've moved on to someone else, it's sort of like, it's written in stone then, he's not mine anymore and I have to start a new life,
Right.
Yeah, but it's they want more supply. They get bored. They want more excitement. They want more supply. They want something different. They want maybe a different personality in the woman. Who knows? Something like that. But they just move on.
Any narcissist I've ever been around, because I've never dated one, but any that I've known, I mean, they need constant attention, attention, that constant supply of attention coming into them. No matter how many people are in the room, they need constant attention from people.
Sort of like a child, that wants
pretty
money.
much, yeah. Overgrown child. And and the ones I've known as a child needed constant attention. But it didn't change as they grew up. Got to be the center of everybody's attention. But yeah, so I mean, no matter what sort of attention, they needed everybody's constant attention. So I mean, I wouldn't say that, infidelity would be. They wouldn't even consider that as being. It's more attention,
Yeah.
So.
And I had my ex was, but I also had a best friend, a girlfriend that, not just a narcissist with me, but with everyone. But I could tell the first time I noticed she's got narcissist tendencies is we were both single and we went out to this restaurant/club and we were standing waiting to get served or something, and two guys came up and started talking to each one of us. And the one guy was talking to her, and the one guy was talking to me, and then their conversation sort of stopped. And me and this other guy, we were kept talking, and we kept talking and talking, and we still weren't getting our table yet. So she got jealous because I was still talking to this guy, and this is how petty and how silly they are. So she goes to me, she goes, I was still talking to the guy, and she goes, Lynn, excuse me, we have to go now. We have to leave. And I looked at her, and we all looked at her, and I said, leave? What do you mean? She goes, no, we have to leave. And so I had to leave the restaurant with her because she's jealous of, that she's not center of attention. She wasn't the center of attention. I'm not saying I was the center of attention, not at all.
But you were giving attention. That
because
was the
she
problem.
wasn't. Yeah, and she's very. Very insecure person. When she walks in the room, has to have all eyes on her to the point where it's crazy. Like, it's really crazy. And very petty. They look for these little things that I wouldn't even think about, right? But because of their insecurity and they're hurt people, right? And she would even make lists. She dated this guy. She made a list of what she wanted from him. She gave it to him like a contract.
Wow.
It was nuts. Yeah, she's I think sort of on the far end of the spectrum. She never used to be, but I think with age and time, she's become very very unhealthy in her mind. It's
well, see, there's Sheldon again. Sheldon likes to make contracts too. But there's a couple I know, and they come up with these like really bizarre things that people have supposedly done to them, and it's like, seriously?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I saw that, but that's an issue with you, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, wow. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't believe you wasted time coming up with this crap. This is ridiculous. But yeah.
And if you're not right there when you want them to be, you know, he's supposed to show up at 5 and he shows up at 10 after, she freaks out, and like just very, very controlling, you know. I want you to, you know, spend money on me all the time. She won't go Dutch. It's like constantly, you spend money on me. You know, you give me the attention. Don't look at another woman. Like if they go out to a wedding or a party, back then before the COVID thing, like, you know, if he got caught talking or to some, you know, she gives him the glare, and we're going to go home now. Like just very very jealous, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
Boy, she sounds like fun.
What's that?
She sounds like fun.
Yeah, she's not well, and I don't talk to her anymore. But she used to be a lot of fun. We used to go out when we were in our 20s, and we used to go out and have a lot of good times. She never was like that, but with time, I guess, I don't know what's happened. Something must have happened to her to affect her. But she's become very insecure and very unhappy, right?
Yeah, sounds like it.
And she doesn't want to try to help herself. Like she doesn't seem to want to. She knows. I think she can do some very extreme things, and I don't think she even cares to fix it or help herself or do anything to better herself. Nothing, you know. It's almost scary. But yeah, so I've had that. I've also had a friend that was she's a full-blown narcissist. So between that and my ex and family member, you know, I had my dose, and so I decided one day I'm just going to get myself feeling better about life, and I healed myself, and then now I coach women. I help them to heal from it. So because, you know, enough. You just get to a point where I got to a point where enough's enough. Like, no, I'm not doing this no more.
Well, you have to, you know, and that's something I've said on it too. You've got to get to the point where you're like, I have to look out for me, and I have to get healthy. You know, exactly. I have to get to the point where I'm in a situation where my surroundings and my life is healthy for me, because nobody else is going to do it for you. You know, and nobody else can do it for you. You have to do it. You know,
and you are who you hang around with, who your friends are. So if I'm going to choose to hang around with toxic people, then I'm going to become that way too, because they will make you that way. They will make you that way. So,
it's you surround yourself with healthy people or unhealthy people. It's your choice. So
exactly. No, and I know some people. I know some, like for herself. I know some people do thrive on drama and negativity, and they thrive on it. Life would be dull without it, and that's fine for them. But for me personally, no thanks.
I can find other ways to be excited. I really can. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then what gets me is when somebody that thrives on drama says, I don't understand these people that create drama for no reason. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? You can't?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what about, in the time of COVID, what about somebody that's quarantined with a narcissist? Because that's something some people have had to face this last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, so when you're in four walls with a narcissist, of course, there's not a lot of distractions to get the focus off each other. So what you do is, and it's a pretty intense situation. So to avoid stress on yourself and anxiety on yourself, what you do is you just agree with them, like for the time. Like you just, and if they want something, you just go get it. You don't argue with them. You don't have confrontations. You don't disagree, even though you want to. You just don't. You're in four walls with this person, and they're a narcissist, and you don't want to have a nervous breakdown. So just go along with them, and the less said, the better. As I said, don't argue, don't disagree. just go along. It's called gray rock, or there's another word, I forget what it is, but just sort of like just go along with them. If they want something, go get it. Just be a non-entity is the word. Be a non-entity, and to get by, because you're in four walls with one person that's a narcissist, right? And it's crazy things can happen. So just go along with them, and sort of do what they want or do what they say, because and make them feel important. Make them feel that they're number one, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So if a person is in a relationship or married to a narcissist, and they realize it's not healthy, and they realize they need to do something for their own sanity and their own health, what kind of tips can you give them to start getting themselves to a better position or a better place?
And they're going to stay married to this person, you're assuming, right?
Well, if they're in a situation and they want to improve their situation, what would be your suggestion for them to improve things?
Yeah, well, I found for my healing, I started focusing on what made me happy. Like, things that I used to do years ago that I used to love to do, I had lost. And a lot of times when you get in a narcissistic relationship, you lose a lot of yourself. You lose a lot of your passions. You lose a lot. You lose some of your interests. And a couple of things oh my gosh, I remember I used to do that, and I used to love doing that. I'm going to try that again. I'm going to get back into that. So finding things that you love to do, passions, hobbies, things that excite you, things that make you happy, people that make you happy, reconnect with someone that you used to talk to and you haven't. Because a lot of these relationships take us away from these things, right? We get absorbed into the narcissist world and we lose our world. So go back and do things that you love to do, or, do that thing that, I could never do that. Do it. Try do something that is going to excite you and it's maybe out of your comfort zone, but do it anyway. Like, not in a selfish way, but focus on yourself and focus on your, what makes you tick and what makes you happy, and things that, you're passionate about. And I found as time went on, I started to become, the fog started to lift, and that sort of like black cloud started to go away. And I started to find myself again and who I was. Because the narcissists, that's what they do. They take away ourself. Like, we become someone else. And, I started to find myself again and who I was. And I liked that, right? I thought, I'm starting to feel like the old me again. So, you heal yourself from it, right? And I do work with the subconscious mind. I'm a hypnotist, so I strongly believe in that. I believe what we think is what we are. So, if we feel we're a victim and we're going to play the victim, we're going to be a victim. But if we want to fight it and be a survivor, be a thriver, conquer this beast, and we're going to come into our own, and we're going to be tough and get this, work this out and get our mojo back, then that's what's going to happen. Like, I believe strongly in the subconscious mind, and what we are what we think.
Right.
So I know a lot of these women on some of these Facebook pages, they're definitely the victim, because they just go back to doing the same things, and some of them they just talk like a victim. I'm there's nowhere I can go, and I can't. There's nothing I can do, and I'm with this man for the rest of my life, and poor me, poor me, poor me. And it's like, well, that's a choice. Really, you can find ways to get to fight this, or to change it.
Yeah.
If you really want to.
You have to want to.
Yeah. You have to want to do it, and I know some of the ways to do it. I have a 3-month coaching program called Toxic to Terrific, and that's my actual healing journey that I went on to heal. And I have different little knickknacks and different little things that I do that will, turn it around for you, and make your life, bring back the joy, bring back the confidence, bring back the excitement, versus the depression and the low confidence, and you're feeling rotten about yourself. Like, who wants to go through life like that?
Yeah,
life's too short.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just too short. So, if the narcissist isn't going to change, and that's fine. Let them do their thing. But, we have to have our life too.
They are not going to change.
No,
I don't care. No.
No, they're not going to change.
They are not. They definitely are not. So how can people find more information about you?
There's my email. If you want to email me, it's lynnmc@live.ca. So it's lynnmc@live.ca. You can email me. On Facebook, you'll see Lynn McIntosh, LYNNMCINTOSH, and underneath it says Relationship Coach. I'm on Facebook. And my website is lynnmcintosh.com. So,
I like that you spelled that out. So many people won't spell their stuff. I said, don't assume people know how to spell.
Yeah, I hope. I know. Yeah, I know. I just did that. But anyway, that's, yeah.
Yeah, especially names. Never assume people know how to spell names. I don't care how easy it is. So.
I know. Well, sometimes I think maybe they didn't hear me clearly. Like, maybe I should spell it out. You know what I mean? But they probably did hear me, but I spell it out anyway. So
people can spell.
Sometimes Lynn is spelled with an E, or it's spelled with one N. So I just spell it. I don't always spell it. I did today though.
I get email for Nike. I mean, what can I tell you?
Exactly. I was thinking, Nike. Yeah.
I looked up Nike.
Nike Lay.
Come on, people. And people spell Lee all kinds of different ways. So whatever. So.
I know, for sure. I was saying, Nike Lay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Thank goodness they don't have to spell my legal name. It's really unusual. All right. Well, thank you very much, because like I said, narcissism is a really interesting thing, and dealing with narcissists. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. But it's something like I said, it's something I've wanted to cover for ages. So I'm really glad we got to cover that today. And I'm hoping that the audience got lots of good information, and I will have the information on my website and a replay of today's show and all your links for people. So if you go to readyforloverradio.com/narcissist, you'll be able to find all of that. And narcissist, since we're spelling things, is spelled NARCISSIST. So Lynn, thank you very much for being with me today. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, Nikki. I appreciate it too.
All right. And listeners, I'll be with you next time on Ready to Love Radio.
Calls me at work in the middle of the day. Tells me she's lonely, asks, can I get away? Not a cloud in the sky and she's feeling the pain, 'cause her lips are dry and she wants a taste of rain. She said, give me that, 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 give me that love. I need your loving like the river needs the rain. So give me that, 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 give me that love. I want your loving like a river needs the rain. So I'm gonna love her like the river loves the rain. Sometimes the day's as long as it's hot, when you got something that you can't go without. Said she's feeling like an addict jonesing for another hit, so I give a little bit just to wet her lips. When she says, give me that, 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 give me that love. I need your loving like a river needs the rain. So give me that, 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 give me that love. I want your loving like a river needs the rain. So I'm gonna love love her like a